Welcome back to Rogue Trader, everyone. Let's see if we can find our companions again. How may I serve you, Lord Captain? Fellowship 40. Connect me to the vessel's main channel. I wish to bolster the morale of my crew. Fellowship test succeeded. The Voxmaster nods obediently and presses several switches on the device she is holding. It is done, Lord Captain. You address the crew with a rousing speech and hear your voice roll through the ship, reaching even the normally quiet corners of the vessel. When the broadcast ends, you hear distant shouts of approval. That will be all for now. Okay, I mean, I got some experience for that randomly. Master Helmsman. I wanted to find the companions and talk to them. Bridge Technomat. Oh, I can actually see them on the map, okay. So Idira is there. And I can go talk to her first. The tall, middle-aged woman stares straight ahead, her eyes vacant, as she rubs her implant at her temple. Her collar is undone, and one of the clasps on the verge of falling off. Sensing your presence, Idira turns her head towards you and offers you a crooked smile, even as her eyes look right through you. I'd like to hear your augury, Idira. What awaits me in the future?
All right.
Oh.
Let's hear what they're whispering about you. Hmm? Seek not on firm ground, but in a golden hall suspended in the void. There waits a child without kin, but with a name blind to truth. She draws the brush across the canvas and does not notice that her palette is full not of paint, but of blood. And with each smear, this well does not deplete, but fills and fills up to the brim. One thing is clear. When this vessel overflows, none will remain unstained. Among the blind men and false prophets, a red-robed sage seeks the answer to a question. He does not know that it is not the answer he must seek, but the question that will draw everything into focus. Will you help him, Rogue Trader? But mark that sometimes ignorance is sweeter than oblivion. A chained hound chases after glimmers of the aurora, but sparks in the scent of oil confound his nose. The chain trails after him. What will happen if you pick it up? Will you become his master? Or merely another beast in the pack of his true lord? The glow of dawn bursts forth from its prison. Dungeon walls cannot contain the dark essence wallowing in the dust. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in twisted glass. Cherish it or cast it off as a burden. The sword of change has already been raised. What is one more life to it? I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild. I can't make out a thing. I'll try to rein them in, somehow. But for now...
Did you know Theodora von Valentius well?
None of the officers knew the Lord Captain well. Not even Abelard, and she was always closer to him than anyone else. She told me from the off that if I ever listened to anything in the warp about her without her permission, I'd be going out through the airlock. I'm not an idiot, so I never stuck my nose where it didn't belong. Only when I was asked.
Fair.
It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that she's gone. Lady von Valancius gave me everything I have. She opened the stars to me and the paths between them. I still think I can hear her voice.
Where do you come from?
An outlying world in the Heathen Stars region. In the Kronus Expanse, the deeper you go, the less visible the Astronomicon gets, and the less people know about the Imperium. The arrival of a rogue trader is the best thing that can happen to a world like that. The very best.
Tell me about Lyra.
It's an out-of-the-way planetoid between two faint stars. On Lyra, a dozen local tyrants fight over 5 measly continents. But they use everything they can to win, from poison to psychers. I haven't been there in many years, but there's nothing for me to miss. Trust me. But here on the ship is a different story altogether. I saw more wonders in my first year serving Lady von Valancius than I'd seen in my whole life on Lyra. Like my first journey through the warp, I was in bed for 3 days. I felt like supernovas were exploding in my head. I only found out later that I'd gotten off easy. Just through the bulkhead, in the bay next to mine, a whole team turned into... Look at me rambling on, Lord Captain. Pay no attention.
You never finished your story about the first time crossing the warp.
It wasn't like it was a very fun trip, Lord Captain. But look, if you want to be entertained, I'm the woman for the job. I'll entertain you with one of the stories from my collection, no problem. But if you want to hear about the time I melted everyone in the bay next door, well, I just don't really want to go into the details on that one, all right?
Fine. What did you do before you came to be on the ship?
Oh, I embroidered wall hangings in honor of our national heroes. I did the same thing I do here, Lord Captain. Divining. Our rulers prized the ability to see into the future. Every psyker that could be found was worth a small fortune on Lyra. There's no such thing as a peaceful life on Lyra. People like me were especially sought after. They'd pick psychers up wherever they found them, buy kids off their parents, even just abduct them. Take me, for instance. I got taken from my street gang. The older kids sold me when they noticed there was something off about me. The ruling dynasties had schools where they trained us and beat us black and blue. And then they packed us off to serve. Some of us held on for a long time, but others didn't last. Not everyone's as smart and talented as me, you know. Some people crossed the line and were out of commission before their time.
How did you end up being in the Rogue Traders service?
Theodora von Valancius paid a visit to the ruler I was serving at the time. I don't know what the visit was for, and it's no business of mine anyway. I can still remember the way the voices in my head changed when I looked at her. They were practically screaming. She had so much behind her, and plenty ahead of her too. As I gawped at her, all of a sudden I heard a whisper. A hint, a suggestion, nothing more. But I know the difference between idle chatter and a real threat. I seized my chance and approached Theodora. I managed to whisper a couple of words in her ear before the wardens dragged me away. They beat me and locked me up. No wonder. It wasn't my place to converse with outsiders. And then Theodora's people came for me. They broke down the wall, butchered the guards. Also, I could tell them my warning in full. So I said the rest, but I didn't want to go back to my old life. And so I entered the service of the von Valancius dynasty.
Have you ever been off the ship?
A few times. Not many. And if I think about it, why would I want to? I've got everything I need here. All the whispers I hear are familiar ones. They almost feel like family. And if I want to hear about the nightmares off the ship, I can, after some Amasek. But don't go getting the wrong idea. If I have to, I'll follow you to the edge of the galaxy.
What's Amasek? Potent alcoholic drink of varying quality widely available across the Imperium. Okay, let's talk about something else.
Of course, Lord Captain.
Yeah, okay, I think I'm done with this for now.
Always.
Let's go to Argenta. She was up here somewhere.
Rogue trader.
Sister Argenta looks tired. There are dark circles around her eyes. Her hair is somewhat disheveled, and she moves like she's a little on edge. You said you had a personal request for me.
I indeed have a request, Rogue Trader.
Okay. The accursed servants of chaos who assaulted this ship and took the lives of your loyal crew members. And they orphaned many children, including the progeny of the brave officers who defended their posts until the bitter end. I don't know what customary practices there are for cases like this in the von Valenches territory, but in the world I am familiar with, children of such brave souls could expect to receive some special consideration. Perhaps the rogue trader could meet with the orphans? Okay. Yeah, I think we'll go... I'll meet them with no formalities needed. These are the children of people who gave their lives for the von Valenches dynasty. My consideration is the least that they deserve. Okay. I'll pass on your instructions. Thank you for taking my request to heart. Okay. Fine. The motley group of adolescents do not take their eyes off you, gazing as if you were a creature straight from a fairy tale. Our indefatigable sister have been keeping an eye on these pups. Abelard glances at the gathered children. It's hardly the Scola Progenium in here, but we have provided the orphans on our ship with adequate care and instruction. Argenta is standing to the side of the group. At your approach, she perks up and announces, her voice ringing. Brave ones, the master of this ship has appeared before you, the one who guides it through the darkness of the universe by the Emperor's will. Greet your Lord Captain, the rogue trader of House Valencius. Okay, let's see what we want to pick here. Okay, yeah. Let's grandly address the group. I, the rogue trader and lord captain of this ship, speak to you now. Your parents gave their lives for just cause and brought honor to the von Valenches banner and those of the Imperium. I am proud of them, and I believe that you will become their worthy heirs. The teenagers hang on to every word with bated breath. Only a few at the far end of the row seem sullen and not particularly impressed by your speech. One of the scowling visitors, with a thin scar across his face, tosses his head back and says bitterly, "So what? Why should we care? Our friends and parents died in the dozens for you noble lot, and you just give us speeches." Argenta quickly turns to the boy. A flurry of emotions flashes in her dark eyes, like she wants to both calm him and scold him for his impudence. Let's see. Let's see. We can address the group. If you have things to say, say them without fear. I will listen. The boy smiles grimly. It doesn't matter what we say. It won't bring our parents back, and it won't change our fates either. We'll keep slaving away on this ship until we drop and die just like our folk, or worse. I think, yeah, we'll go with the first one. I understand your grief and dismay. Your parents died. It's not an easy thing to go through. But they gave their lives for the truth, for the good of the whole ship, for the Imperium. Do not speak of their honorable fate with anger and disdain. You heard the rogue trader. His words carry the wisdom of the Imperium. It's hard to say whether or not your words have left an impression on the boy, but he nods slowly, and then he catches himself and gives you an awkward bow. Abelard gives a sign, and servants immediately emerge carrying packaged treats with the Von Valancius emblazoned on the wrappers. It appears that the Seneschal came prepared for any contingency. Argenta rubs her temple pensively. She smiles and offers a few more words of encouragement, then leaves the boy. Okay. Gonna be a very nice boy this playthrough. Okay. Let's see what she has to say now, I guess.
Greetings.
Tell me about the Adepta Sororitas. Adepta Sororitas.
Gladly. There are none more faithful to the God Emperor than my sisters. We fight against his enemies by the will of the Holy Ecclesiarchy. I beg your pardon, Rogue Trader. Here I am talking about what every lesser noble in the Imperium knows. So what exactly are you interested in hearing about?
They say the Adepta Sororitas are the fiercest in their faith among the warriors of the Imperium. Is this true?
It is. The Sisters of Battle are a fire lit by the God Emperor. They are the echo of his voice that travels through the dark expanses of the universe. We bring his wrath to heretics, mutants, and other enemies of humanity. We protect the faithful from the unholy and unhallowed. Sometimes with words, more often than not with a bolter.
Are all sisters truly as faultless as you say?
Even the novices of the Adepta Sororitas are drawn from among the most worthy. Those who have taken the vows and become a full-fledged sister are the best of the best, tested by trials of body and spirit. Yes, there have been cases when a sister stumbled or showed weakness. But do not expect to hear a story of depravity or downfall from me. Each such occurrence is a great tragedy for us all. Light cannot bear the smallest speck of darkness within. And thus those who have trespassed or shown weakness of spirit are given a chance at redemption. They are called Sisters Repentia, and may the enemy tremble before her, for nothing can stop a sister of battle who yearns to be cleansed of fault and weakness.
Interesting.
Wearing nothing but robes, no armor, eviscerator in hand, those sisters who have once faltered find repentance on the battlefield. Their lives are seldom long, but a death in the name of purgation is a better fate than to live with a shadow in one's soul.
What order are you from?
Once I had completed my novitiate, I was sent to the Calixian branch of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, assigned to the Order's Pronatus. The Order's mission is vital and noble. The Sisters Pronatus protect great relics of the Imperium. We guard them, preserve them, escort them when they are brought onto the battlefield or presented for pilgrims to venerate. And we seek out the relics that have been lost. Neither a coven of heretics, nor the most wicked death world can deter Sisters Pronatus when their goal is to return a piece of the great legacy of the Imperium into the hands of the faithful.
You said you belonged to the Calixian branch of your order. What brought you to the Kronus Expanse?
The Order sent me to Footfall. My undertaking was to assist the local priesthood of Drusians in caring for a sacred reliquary that had been there since the time of Parson Mr. Wayne, the station's founder.
Are there any other members of the Adeptus Aureatus in the Kronus Expanse?
None that I'm aware of, but the Sisterhood's orders are many, and can operate independently of one another, sending their sisters wherever their presence is needed as deemed by the Ecclesiarchy. Perhaps somewhere in the Lord Inquisitor's retinue, may his path be blessed, my sisters perform their duty as we speak. I wish it were so. Even a single evening spent in joint prayer and training would bring me joy.
Okay. I have no more questions about the Sisterhood.
Should any more arise, keeping them to yourself would be imprudent. It is a virtue to take an interest in holiness.
Tell me about yourself.
About me? I am the Emperor's daughter and his servant. What else is there to tell about me?
How did you end up on Theodora's ship?
I first came here when I found myself in need of passage from Footfall to a remote planet. But I imagine what interests you is not that first journey, but rather what brought me aboard prior to the pirate attack. That story is complicated. It just so happened that I made a mistake. In a moment of laxity, I was ambushed by the accursed followers of the archenemy. I was badly wounded. Lady Theodora came to my aid and brought me aboard her ship, while her crew attended to me in my weakened state. It all happened not too long ago. I'd barely recovered from my wounds when the pirates struck. Truly, the servants of evil know no rest. There is no place where we can be safe from their machinations.
What happened to the people who wounded you? Did Theodora's men eliminate them?
Sadly, they did not. Lady Theodora was in a hurry and chose not to stay on the planet. Her people took me to a ship while I was unconscious, and when I came to my senses, we were already flying away. How I pray to come face to face with those heretics once more, and it's bound to happen someday.
You mentioned making a mistake.
It happens even to the best of us. My mistakes are my burden to bear. I'll find a way to atone for them.
Where did this happen?
On one of the recently discovered planets in the Expanse. No one suspected that it had already been tainted by the filth of heresy. Had I known it beforehand, of course I would have been on my guard.
I mean, we could go to the planet and deal with the Chaos Worshippers.
The path to that planet was lost. All the knowledge is gone, along with the previous navigator. It would take immense effort and resources to rediscover the route. The heir to the von Valanci's protectorate must have plenty of other issues to deal with right now. Perhaps later, when the skies above our heads have cleared.
Okay, fine. What was it like to travel on Theodora's ship?
I hadn't been here that long. Just one journey from Footfall, and the other journey, the majority of which I spent in the confines of the medbay. I can't tell you much about the first voyage. I was more focused on prayers and ruminations than on the people around me, or the journey itself. During the last journey, Seneschal Viserion stood out for me. He came by several times to ask about my health. He's an honorable man and a loyal servant of the Imperium. I think he is as meticulous in his inspections of the logistic systems as he is in his inquiries about the health of the occasional sister of battle aboard the ship. But not all of Theodora's people have earned my trust. You know who I'm talking about. There is no place for Adira Tlas among the God Emperor's faithful. I'm surprised she wasn't in league with the pirates. And I'm equally surprised by how deep heresy and treason run in this place. I'm glad we all made it through that dark hour. May the day that follows be bright.
We don't have any more questions.
As you wish.
Okay, I'm gonna talk briefly to Abelard as well, because I think he's here somewhere. Yep.
Lord Captain.
Let's talk about things that may be useful to me as the rogue trader.
A noble aspiration, Lord Captain. I am ready to acquaint you with all the particulars that interest you.
Outline the situation for me in the Kronus Expanse. What do I need to know and keep in mind?
This is a topic for an official briefing, not a casual conversation. But I will try to answer succinctly. And if you permit, in my own words. The Kronus Expanse is considerably removed from the heart of the Imperium. This means that local warp routes become useless within months. Established pathways are regularly subject to attacks from all kinds of rabble. And in the only major port, the Imperium's frigates find themselves moored alongside pirate vessels.
Okay.
Until recently, the Kronus Expanse could hardly have been called a region of the Imperium. The situation has changed with the arrival of the Lord Inquisitor, but not by much. This place operates under its own rules, you see. More radical, so to speak. But ones that allow for a non-standard approach where there is a promise of victory. The Kronus Expanse is considered rogue trader territory for a reason. Only rogue traders have sufficient military might, audacity, and the rights granted them by the warrant to survive the leap into the unexplored part of the Expanse. And in the event of a successful outcome, to hold on to whatever they manage to capture on the frontier.
Who are the main players I need to be aware of in the Kronus Expanse?
In the first instance, you should treat official representatives of the Imperium with respect. The Expanse may be on the fringes, but it still numbers among the territories of the Golden Throne. The arrival of the Lord Inquisitor has turned the Kronus Expanse into a less wild and uncontrolled region, to the regret of some individuals who had grown inured to the local lawlessness. Rogue traders such as yourself are also servants of the Imperium. They have been accorded special rights and powers. They wield immense authority within their territory, and they enjoy absolute respect in other parts of the Expanse. The most powerful of them are Kalagos Winterscale and Incendia Bastal Chora. Tread carefully when dealing with either of them.
Okay.
If we are to speak of unclaimed territory, which is what Footfall is, among the scum that dwells on that handful of asteroids, there are 3 factions that wield considerable influence in the sector. The first is the Kazbala Commission, organized crime in its most primitive form. It holds sway over the Liege of Footfall, and has links to rogue trader Winterscale. The second faction is an offshoot of our shining ecclesiarchy, followers of St. Drusus. They are actively building their forces, and hold influence over rogue trader Chorda. And finally, the third faction, the Explorators, a wing of the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are willing to die and kill for the secrets of the ancient technological heresies that are hidden among the stars of the Kronus Expanse.
Kunrad, our previous Master of Whispers, what can you tell me about his betrayal? What do you think he'll do next?
You know, Lord Captain, I am no admirer of fine art. But when we next find ourselves in a civilized port, with time to spare, I will promptly find an artist and commission a portrait of the individual to whom you refer, with a hole between the eyes. Conrad Voigtveer. That he committed his treachery and escaped with his life was an unforgivable oversight. We both served Lord Captain Theodora for many years, and we never saw eye to eye. He was brash. He was never afraid of assuming responsibility, and he willingly took on difficult tasks. I am loath to admit it, but the Von Valancius Protectorate continues to reap the fruits of his labors to this day. His service always garnered my respect. But everything else about him made me want to wring the neck of that two-faced snake. If you are taking comfort in the thought that we will hear no more of Conrad, prepare to be disappointed. You thwarted his plans, his meticulously plotted and nurtured treachery. He is sure to attempt to strike at you, and he will use his contacts and knowledge of the Protectorate to do so. The only question, Lord Captain, is whether you will be able to anticipate his next steps.
Okay, that's all for now.
As you wish, Lord Captain.
I'd like to know more about my son Shal.
As you wish, Lord Captain. What would you like to know?
Do you have a family?
I am a widower. I am a father of 4, and if my information is not outdated, a grandfather of 11. My family lives on Dargonus. None of my children express any eagerness or aptitude for serving aboard ship, and I would hardly have insisted that they follow in my footsteps.
Tell me about yourself. What were you before you became Theodora's son Shal?
I used to be an officer in the Navis Imperialis. No, used to be is not quite right. It was not simply a job. It was my calling, the essence of my life. I was proud to serve Lord Captain Theodora, but in my heart and mind, I'm still an officer of the Imperium. I met Lord Captain Theodora on a mission where the Imperial Navy was providing reinforcement to the rogue traders' army on one of the frontier worlds. Our acquaintance was not easy. Working with people outside the Navy hierarchy has never been my strong suit. It was to my great surprise then, that after the mission's completion, I received a referral to leave my service in the Navy and join the rogue traders' personal council. It was a difficult choice for me, but I saw in the offer a chance to serve the interests of humanity even more effectively than in the Navis Imperialis. You do not need me to tell you just how remarkable a person Lord Captain Theodora was. I recognized her at once as a true leader and formidable creative force. One who had built a protectorate amidst the dangers and wildness of the Expanse.
The way you talk about Theodora, I'm beginning to think you're in love with her.
What? Lord Captain, any allegations of improper feelings or unsanctioned relations are utterly baseless and bordering on the insulting. Utterly baseless.
Sure. Leaving the Imperial Navy is far from easy. Why were you permitted to quit your post?
You could say there was no one among the naval command who was willing to impede the wishes of the rogue trader. To do so would be to risk their own position and their relationship with Theodora. The Lord Captain possessed certain contacts in the Imperial Navy. Contacts which she used to request help during the conflict on the border world. And which enabled her to make me an offer that resulted in my joining her retinue.
Okay.
The Navis Imperialis is an ancient institution with its own mandates and muster lists. On occasion, in the heat of an official briefing, or an informal discussion, I violated those rules, determined to press my point. It is challenging to choose the words to accurately express my opinion on a situation or the actions of others that do not sound overly scathing or confrontational. Many in command were inclined to view my manner of speaking as unbefitting a person of my rank.
Thank you, I have no more questions.
Of course.
You may call me by my first name if you wish.
I thank you for the honor, but I must decline. As a former military officer, I believe in the importance of order in all things, including the chain of command. You are the Lord Captain, my direct superior. I am not prepared to address you in any way other than as regulation dictates.
Fine. I must take my leave until next time, Sanchal.
Lord Captain.
Okay. Let's go to the map. We are going... Let's see here. The new navigator. The guide. I think we're going there. So we have some rumors. Warden of the Expanse. Lord Inquisitor Xavier Alcazar is a powerful and mysterious figure who plays a pivotal role in the fate of the Kronus Expanse. His power is so great that it extends even over rogue traders. Contract. We have no contract available. Okay. This is the closest one, so we're gonna go here. Lord Captain, reporting. The heralds of the Navis Nobilite continue to maintain Vox silence, perhaps due to Eurac V being off limits to visitors. We intercepted signals from the beacons drifting in the station's orbit. The demands are clear. We're told to turn the ship around immediately. We've also detected an accumulation of space debris near the station docks. Presumably it's the remains of interplanetary shuttles. Perhaps the esteemed Navis Nobilite house requires aid and therefore cannot respond to our Vox transmission. Let's scan the station. Order the auger crew to scan the station. Yes, Lord Captain. The Vox remains silent for a while, but then you hear static and Vigdis' measured voice. The officers from the auger crew performed a full scan of the station, but the information is imprecise. They note wave distortions of unclear genesis that are throwing off most of the readings. We were able to ascertain that the reactor core of the station is still active, but many compartments are unpowered and some fully depressurized. The signs of biological activity are largely present in the central module, which means the station has not yet been abandoned. So the question remains, why are the esteemed navigators' heralds ignoring us? Contact the station again. I will negotiate personally. The Vox relays the cadent sound of grinding gears and clicking tumblers. I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The station does not reply even after an official greeting by a rogue trader and the declaration of your intent to negotiate in person. Let's order the crew to commence docking with the station. Affirmative, Lord Captain. We do not know what's happening at the station, so you have to look for the esteemed navigators blind. Dock safely, and may the God Emperor light your path. So, secrets of the Navis Nobilite. Okay, so we're scanning something. Okay. Extractium, a mobile mining outpost assembled in accordance with the Blessed Standard template construct. This small industrial complex can be deployed on practically any world, however inhospitable. The Surf Clan assigned it to will devote itself to the maintenance of these sacred mechanisms and the extraction of resources needed by the rogue trader. Okay. But yeah, we're definitely going in here. Eurac 5.
Pathetic worm. You dare to argue with your master?
It was not you whom I swore to serve within these walls. My lips are sealed.
Confess. What was the old man's last command? What are you planning?
Give up, Keeper. You have lost this battle. Again.
We're getting nowhere with these ones, sir. Permission to execute them.
Wretches, you'll be consigned to oblivion. House or Celio? A strange guest. Sure. Felic or Celio, a tall man stops you with a gesture when you approach. Blood is trickling down the pearly scales of his weary face, and not just his own blood. 2 jet black unblinking eyes are watching your every move, and the third one, the mark of a navigator's fate, is menacingly pulsing behind the lowered lid in the middle of his forehead. Step back, or I'll unleash all the horrors of the sea of souls upon you. Emperor, be my witness. Abelard, if you would be so kind. The Sunchild takes a deep breath. Before you stands his lordship of the rogue trader Jabs von Valencius, heir to the greatest protectorate in the Kronus Expanse, and bearer of the sacred warrant of trade. Allow me to point out that the Nobilite custom requires the Lord Navigator to introduce himself first, but given the unusual circumstance on the station, his lordship the rogue trader is willing to turn a blind eye to your hostility, but just this once. In this case, I shall turn a blind eye to your unceremonious invasion, but just this once. There's a dangerous glint in the man's dark, shrouded eyes. Very well. Allow me to introduce myself. Before you stands Felic Christoph August, keeper of this place. So, you did not arrive to offer support to the traitors. This is great news. Having said that, you must understand that Eurac V, or 5, is a holy sanctum for House Orsilio, and the path to it is only revealed to a select few. It pains me to say you're not on the guest list. What's happening on the station? Where did all these corpses come from? Betrayal. A most banal thing in the life of the Nobilite, don't you think? I was stabbed in the back by my closest friend, Theobald Orsilio, the second keeper of Eurac 5 and my mentor. On his instructions, my own people sabotaged the generators, blew up the shutters, and brutally massacred the loyal servants of my mistress. Most unforgivably, they dared to take her prisoner, greedy scum. I swear by the throne's light, their souls will perish in the darkness of the void. Felic falls silent for a few moments, and then furiously slams the end of his staff into the floor. The madmen have captured Lady Cassia and are now torturing her upstairs while we're idly chatting down here. Help me rescue her or be gone, but waste no more of my precious time. What kind of help are you talking about? I would never ask you for such a favor under different circumstances, and yet. Felic takes his hand away from his rib cage, notes his blood, and winces in pain. And yet, Lady Cassia's well-being is above all. I haven't got many people left, and my wounds are too deep for me to act with precision and swiftness. But you may actually succeed. In order to ascend to the Mistress' chambers, you'll need to remake a holy relic sanctified with the blood of Lady Orsilio herself. This is the control rod of the elevator's machine spirit. I have one part and the other was lost during the mutiny. But even this relic will be no use unless the elevator mechanism is powered. Why should I help you? You came to this station for a reason. House Orsilio will not be able to help you until the current crisis is resolved. But if you aid us now, I promise we'll reach an agreement that you'll find satisfying, be it riches, influence, or the power of the navigators. How do I remake the control rod? I have a phylactery containing the mistress's blood. It needs to be taken to the laboratory, which is located behind one of the reliquary doors. The most ancient of sacred mechanisms will help to rebuild the rod. The tech priests ceaselessly performed the rites of appeasement so that the machine spirit would serve the house in its time of need. The fateful hour is now upon us. So how am I supposed to power the elevator? The station's main cogitator is situated in the guard room. Just enter the correct command sequence and the sacred mechanism will do the rest. Okay, I guess that makes sense. So what have you decided, descendant of the von Valancius line? It will be an honor to save the Lady Navigator from her woes. You should hurry then. We'll stay here to hold the line and lick our wounds. Good luck, rogue trader, and may the Emperor's light be with you. Okay, so we get dragged into this weird thing. I'm not sure this guy is a good guy or
money
not.
to be made?
Actually wanted to look. Is that in the journal, actually? No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Is it in the inventory screen? No, absolutely not. This thing. L. So, can I find information about... I don't think so, actually. Mechanical dictionary. Okay. So actually, I cannot really... I thought I could find some information about the house that he's talking about. Or Celio, but I guess we can't. Okay, this is gonna be it for this episode. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.